being introduced, because sometimes these introductions get very, very fancy and very compelling and all that stuff. And I always remind myself that many years ago, when I was a very junior member of Congress, I was invited to go down to Montgomery, Alabama, for Bill Dickinson, who was the ranking Republican on the Armed Services Committee. And he wanted to do a fundraiser, and I was going to go down, and he was sort of giving me a chance to shine. But he wasn't quite sure I could draw a very big crowd. So he thought he'd have a second person come to the fundraiser, and he invited Charlton Heston. And we had the fundraiser, and then we did this reception afterwards, and I would stand here, and then Heston would be here, and then Bill Dickinson was next to Heston, and people would come in and meet Dickinson, who'd introduce them to Heston, and then place them between Heston and me. And then later on, they took pictures, and then later on, they sent me 250 pictures to sign. And I had the very humbling experience of realizing that in 250 pictures, there was not a single occasion in which the woman leaned towards me. So whenever I get introduced, I'm always reminded of that moment, that it brings you back to reality. What I want to do, and I'm going to add one thing to this, but I want to walk you through this very briefly, and then I'm going to throw it open to questions. And this is not so much about politics as politics, because they asked me to talk about leadership, and so I took very seriously the idea of reducing to 2 pages much of what I've learned over a period that goes back to August of 1958, long before many of you were here. In terms of actually studying, I was 15 years old. I was going to become either a vertebrate paleontologist or a zoo director. And we were stationed in Orléans, France. My father was a soldier in the U.S. Army, he was an infantryman. And we went to stay with a friend of his at the battlefield of Verdun in northern France, which was the largest battlefield of the First World War. And this friend of his had been drafted in 1941 and sent to the Philippines, and ended up surrendering to the Japanese, serving on the Bataan Death March, and spending 3.5 years in the Japanese prison camp. And so we'd go, every day we'd go out and we'd tour this large, huge battlefield, and then in the evenings we'd talk about what it was like to lose. And at the end of that weekend, I concluded that what you're seeing in Beirut, what we saw in Baghdad, or in a variety of places around the world could happen here. And that the key component was having effective leadership. And I spent all summer praying about it. We were transferred from Orléans to Stuttgart, Germany. And in August of '58, I decided I would do what I've now been doing for 46.5 years. So in that period of time, because I was born in Pennsylvania, my dad was a career soldier. We had no personal money. I have a slightly strange voice. Some of you may think very strange. I'll go with slightly for the moment. We moved to Fort Benning, Georgia in 1960 when I was a junior in high school, and I volunteered in the Nixon Lodge campaign when Georgia was the most democratic state in the country. So my entire career has been kind of uphill and implausible. And from that background, I had to learn a lot about leadership just to survive. So I come out of an unusual background. But I want to start something that's not on here that I say to people younger than you, but I want to share with you because it'll frame this. Because I was thinking on the way out tonight, what is it that I really do that has been truly effective? And this will surprise you. I have 5 phrases. Like yesterday I was doing book signing, and people come by that had very young children. And they say, would you sign this to Teddy? Teddy's 5 years old. I always write 5 simple phrases. Dream big, work hard, learn every day, enjoy life, and be true to yourself. Now I want to start by arguing that real leadership starts with those 5. And I'd say particularly at your age. I mean, if you don't have the guts to dream big when you're at your age, you're not going to acquire it at 50. And it's a really good habit. And I don't care what you dream big about. You can dream big about, being a movie star. You can dream big about having a wonderful family. You can dream big about making money. You can dream big about a career. But I want you to have this notion that you are truly endowed by your Creator with the right to pursue happiness, which in 18th century terms really meant something closer to wisdom and virtue. Happiness did not mean, go get drunk on Thursday nights. Happiness meant live a life that was balanced and gave you happiness because you were avoiding pain. Now, if you dream big, I will guarantee 99.99% of the time, you have to work hard. I don't know of anybody who achieves a great deal who doesn't work hard. And again, I'll go back. I mean, if you're a mother raising a family, you're going to work hard. If you're somebody who goes out and you want to be either a ballerina or a great soccer player, you're going to work hard. If you want to be a great painter, you're going to work hard. Now, every once in a while you find two groups. Random geniuses who don't seem to have to work hard. I always hated them. And people who lie to themselves. They don't work hard and the work shows it, but they don't care. They go, this was great. That's fine. But as a general principle, in order to dream big and make it real, you have to work hard. Now, working hard by itself isn't enough, because if you just work hard, I mean, think about somebody who got their very first car, had never learned how to put gas in it, and refused to learn the phrase, stop at a gas station. And they ran out of gas, and they're halfway out in the country, and they now have to push their car. I would argue this is a good point for my third phrase, which is learn every day. And I mean that. I'm 61 years old. I've been Speaker of the House, Man of the Year, and all that stuff. I've had several best-selling books. And as everybody who's close to me, everybody's been close, one of which just came out called Winning the Future. Your parents need it, and you need it, so you should call them and tell them to buy 2 copies, one for them, one for you. I mean, after all, I'm a conservative. I believe in free enterprise. But there's a core value here that I want to get across to you. I think everybody who works with me will tell you, I try really hard to learn every day. Because the world is bigger than you are. And the world changes. And things that may be perfect this morning may not be perfect at noon. And unless you're open to learning, you're not going to know it. Now, you dream big, you work hard, and you learn every day, you're a long way down the road. But let me give you one other piece of advice I got from 2 really successful business people. I was teaching a course called Renewing American Civilization. I wanted a section on economic growth and development. I went to 2 people who have been really successful. I said, what would you tell people who were looking for a career? And they had the following, I thought, brilliant insight. I would tell them to do something they like. Because to do anything well enough to succeed, you have to do it so much that if you don't like it, it's almost impossible to force yourself to do it. And that's why I put in enjoy life. Because if you enjoy life, and again, those of you who saw, given your age, those of you who saw the Reagan funeral and the reminiscences of Reagan and the pictures of Reagan, Reagan liked being Reagan. One of the reasons Bill Clinton survived is that Bill Clinton likes being Bill Clinton. And you just see it. We saw him at the inaugural. You could just see, I'm here, I'm loving it, and it beats being in Arkansas. And he exudes that sense of excitement and that sense of happiness about life, even in moments when he's in desperate trouble. And you go out and you talk to people, and it may be the geek who's up at 4 o'clock in the morning inventing the new computer program that will someday make them a millionaire, but they are so totally into what they're doing. It may be the person who is the choreographer who's designing the new ballet, and they are so totally into what they're doing. And that's part of the great American genius is we not only say God endows you with the right to pursue happiness, but we suggest to you, you find a hobby somebody will pay for. So you can work 40 hours and get paid, and then you can take the same hobby and work another 40 hours because you love it. Now, I give speeches for a living, and it works perfectly. I'm half Irish. I think it's the greatest thing in the world. I get to go give a speech. And so find what you like. But there's a last thing. In the end, you have to be true to yourself.